there's another sport over there that's very popular, and you just mentioned it, hockey. And the Carolina Hurricanes is arguably your best team. It really is. I mean, if you look at that roster, I thought
arguable, is it?
I think they should have won the Stanley Cup this year. I thought
I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan.
Okay.
So.
Oh God.
Nice.
Oh God. Now
I went to the Game 7 against the Pens, Game 7 against the Canes here as well.
How are you a Ranger fan? What is this? How were you? Were you raised here in New York?
Yeah, Connecticut.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right.
So I'm a Yankees guy. I've been watching the Chase.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm tuned in.
I'm a Yankee fan, so I like you about that. I'm an Islander fan. So
there you go. You got one positive.
There's a positive there. I mean, there is.
That's rare. Like Islander fans are usually like the Jets, Islanders.
Stop.
Mets.
Everybody says that. Everybody keeps saying. I know a lot of Jets, Yankees, Islander fans. It's just everybody says it's Jets, Mets, and Islanders.
It's always that though. It's like it's Rangers, Yankees, Giants, Knicks.
The new age, being that you grew up in those times, a lot of people here in Long Island, their fathers were Islander fans, so they're Islander fans. True. You know what I mean? So, and then the Islanders sucked for so long. So you know what? I'm going to go to the Rangers. I'm going to be a Ranger. I'm the opposite. I was a Ranger fan for about 12 years. And in 1993, the Rangers decided to part ways and trade away my favorite player, John Van Beesbrook, and send him to the Vancouver Canucks, which, by the way, the Rangers played in the Stanley Cup Finals the year after and won the Stanley Cup. So it would have been really fun to watch Mike Richter versus Van Beesbrook, but it was Mike Richter versus Kurt McLean, and Richter won. And ever since then, I was upset, even though I understand why the Rangers did it. Mike Richter was the younger guy. They decided to go the younger path, but I was upset at them, and I hated the Rangers for it. And he went to the Panthers. I was a Panther fan. When he went to the Islanders for the year and a half that he was there, I became an Islander fan. I said, you know what, I'm going to stick with this crappy team and watch this crap really build. And it's so far, I like what Lou has done, but, we're not here to talk about the Islanders. We're here to talk about your Carolina Hurricanes team. This team lost a star center. Well, I wouldn't say star center, but one of their lead centers, their face-off guys. He goes to the Rangers in the offseason. The Rangers need. I mean, they brought in Brent Burns. I think it was a good move by them. He's one of the more underrated top defensemen in the NHL. Also mean and has no teeth. Sebastian Aho, he was one of the best young players in the league last year in a regular season. I don't know what happened to him in the playoffs. I have no idea, but he did not look very, very good, especially against the Rangers. Where is this team now? I mean, also, they brought in Max Pacioretty. Great move by them, by the way.
Cannon boy.
Yes. Where do you think the Hurricanes are now going into the new season of hockey?
So they're always kind of like a goaltender away is what it felt like. And they dealt Alex Nedeljkovic out to Detroit a couple of years ago. Well, I guess last year. And then Freddie got hurt. Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
I said, no, it was last year.
It wasn't last year.
Right after he was a finalist for the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and I guess whatever. But Freddie came in, Anderson, and was a stud, but then he got hurt. So, I mean, you know how it is in the playoffs. If you have a guy like Shesterkin who stands on his head and rescues you a few games. But it was weird with the Canes. Like, they could not win on the road. I mean, literally could not win on the road and just relied at home. And I was at that Game 7, and the fans, when they came in, I was like, okay, this is going to be tough. I never can go into a Game 7 expecting to win. It's just too arduous to, be disappointed. And the fans showed up, and they were like, all right, it's Memorial Day or whatever it was. Like, I guess we'll show up. But this team now – I think they're still in that, they're still in the World Series, Stanley Cup conversation.
Of course,
they're in the top 4, whatever it is in the East, and it's like one of those things. Like, are the Penguins going to be completely healthy, and are they going to do? Is Sid just going to lead them to the promised land as he seemingly always does? But they're in the conversation. It's a matter of can they stay healthy, and can Freddie return to what he was? But I love bringing in Brent Burns, and I love bringing in Pacioretty, just to bring in a little bit more of an edge. Aho, I was shocked at how much he kind of disappeared because he is a stud. Like, he is an absolute stud, and you don't hear about him because he does play in Raleigh.
Well, he scored the winning goal against the Rangers in one of those first games, and then all of a sudden disappeared since.
He was not good in the playoffs, but I was very surprised that Vegas let Max Pacioretty go. That was a terrible.
Well, they had to dump everybody.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Vegas, the Golden Knights are going to lose more money than the casinos at this rate. So
the casinos lose money?
No, the house always wins, but
exactly.
Still in some facet, it might combine for everything. Just how many casinos there are. There's only one hockey team. There's a ton of casinos, so maybe the combined value. But Vegas Golden Knights top all of how much money they'll end up trading away, and then end up paying Jack Eichel, who's barely played for them.
That's squirrely, huh? That kind of sucks for him. He was fun to watch.
Whoever thought Buffalo would actually win a trade?
Whoops.
We're not talking about football. We're actually talking about hockey. Well, Buffalo won a trade. At least we think. We'll never know. Yeah. So my question is about the style of play we've seen in the playoffs so far with the Hurricanes. They had the Eastern Conference Finals run again when they lost to the Bruins, but they took down some favorites in that run as an underdog. And then all of a sudden, since they've been a favorite, a lot of the issues have been kind of more passive. Do you see that kind of thing with Rob Brind'Amour and his coaching style?
I saw it from the standpoint that they use the crowd to really juice them, and if they weren't the aggressor. But I think that's every sport, right? Like if you're not on the attack and you're always kind of playing on your heels, you're eventually just going to get run over. And I think, and this is a boring answer, but I think every team, whoever you are, you need to play your game, whatever that is. And this is what drives me crazy to switch sports is the Yankees. The Yankees are a great regular season team, 100%. And I think that they're awesome in the regular season. But we're not built for the playoffs. So then we go to the playoffs and we're going to play this. If we don't, first of all, if we take Aaron Judge out of the lineup, forget about it. We can't do anything. But we're going to play a home run ball. Yeah. No, it's not going to work. You got to have 3-4 studs on the mound. It's the same thing with hockey. Is if you're playing fast pace and that's your pace, play fast pace no matter what they tell you in the playoffs. You got to do what you do. Baseball is the anomaly in that you have to have pitching. It's 162 games. It's a very different breed. We saw what the Avalanche did. They played no defense really, and were just skated past everybody and scored 1 billion goals to win.
And that's the thing when you bring up the Yankees. I think that's why everybody takes a shot at the Yankees. Why they traded. Obviously Montgomery. I didn't like the move trading, a guy like Montgomery and see what he's doing with the Cardinals right now. But they brought in Bader, and Bader's played his first game as a Yankee last night.
What a night for him!
Unbelievable. And tonight he's hitting, and he's going to play a big part if they have any chance in the playoffs. He's one of the best center fielders in baseball defensively, and he can hit for average and he can steal bases. Something that the Yankees are not very good at.
Exactly.
So I think Brian Cashman understands how to win. The question is, do they have the pitching to hop over the Houston Astros? If they do, they could beat Houston. I think they could beat anybody in the National League. I think they have the power, and I think they have the offense to do it. So it really is. And listen, they have to get Giancarlo Stanton hot like he was the last couple of years. If he's hot, Aaron Judge is hitting, and then you're getting timely hitting from all the other players, I think the Yankees will be fine. I'm not really worried about them. One thing that worries me about them, and I'll say this again, and I know a lot of Yankee fans say I'm repetitive with this. The problem with the Yankees, it's not about the long ball. It's not about the players. It's not about the style. It's about their bullpen. And their bullpen has not looked good in the second half ever since King got hurt. They have not been the same bullpen. And it's crazy how one player can transition everything in the bullpen. I'm hoping that if Zach Britton comes back for the playoffs, which they say he is, and adding some of that starting rotation pitchers in that bullpen for long relief, I think that the Yankees will be fine starting Nestor Cortes, Gerrit Cole.
You think Nasty Nestor will be good in the playoffs?
100%.
Do you think he has a playoff arm?
It's not about his playoff arm. I think he has the personality to go out there under stress in Yankee Stadium when people are screaming at him. He's got that Andy Pettitte persona. You know what I mean? It's just who he is. I think he's going to go into the play. I think if there's anybody to trust out of all of them, if it's Tejon and Cole, Gerrit Cole so far has shown me nothing in the playoffs. I'm sorry, he hasn't. He's a great pitcher. Shown me nothing.
He hasn't. The numbers support you entirely.
Nothing. But I think Nestor Cortes, just because he's never done it before, and just who he is, being that, I guess you could say that he's a 6th or 7th round guy nobody gives a crap about. And people forget that the Yankees drafted him, and then he went to the Orioles, he went here, and then the Yankees brought him back, and he started to develop over the last 2 years. There's just something about who he is as a person that I think if there's anybody to trust on the mound like a Masahiro Tanaka, a guy that doesn't really care about what the fans are doing out there, it's him. And I think, yes, I think Nestor will succeed. I think it's Teon that scares me. I think it's Cole that scares me. And whoever the hell they put on the mound whenever they decide to put him, it's just him I'm not worried about.
How about this? Do you think there's a better chance they get swept in their first series or win the World Series?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think it has, and I know a lot of people say this. I am a Yankee fan, but I'm an honest Yankee fan. I think it's going to depend on how Aaron Boone, I almost called him Brett, Aaron Boone sets up his lineup. And I think you cannot set up your lineup like the regular season. If you have strikeout guys, you do not put them back to back to back. You have to put a guy like Bader. If Bader's in that lineup, you put him in between, a Giancarlo and an Aaron Judge. Anthony Rizzo strikes out a lot. He has a lot of power. So you put kind of Falefa in between him, a guy that can hit for average and steal bases. You need to strategically set up your lineup where it makes – and Josh Donaldson's another one. He is not a playoff player. Nope. If he can't hit, you do not put him in the game 2 or game 3. You make sure that you put the hottest guys out except your two studs. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo have to be in the lineup. You have to, but you got to spread them out. You cannot play them back to back, especially when one guy strikes out more than the other. So I think that's what they have to do. If they do that, I think they'll have enough pitching to win. I don't see right now they're matched up with Seattle and Cleveland and Seattle. So whoever wins that series would play the Yankees. I think Seattle scares me, but Cleveland has the pitching to beat Seattle. And so far, what we've seen in the second half with Seattle that I've noticed is Seattle depends lately on the long ball. That's what they're depending on. And if they do what the Yankees do, the Yankees obviously have the advantage against them with the power. If they play hit for hit, the Yankees don't stand a chance against Seattle. So it really depends on who they play and who they match up against. And I think styles make games. And I think the Yankees have a better chance to beat Cleveland. But if they play Seattle in a 7-game series, it's a 5-game series in divisional, right? It's 5 games?
No, it's a 3-game for the first round, 5 games, 7 games.
5 games. So it's 5 games.
5 games. Yeah.
So I think being that the Yankees have the home field advantage, I will give it to the Yankees, but it'll be very, very close. And I still worry about some of the young power that they have in their lineup that really scares me from Seattle. So Houston has a harder range. They got to play Toronto or Tampa. I don't wish that upon them because Toronto's playing great baseball right now and they're getting timely hitting. And Tampa, you don't want to face that young pitching staff in that bullpen. So
they've had 2 good series in a row too. 2019, Astros won it in 5, and then 2020, the Rays won it in 7.
So I think Houston's going to have a harder time getting to the ALDS than the Yankees do.
That's
so
fine with me.